Welcome, Jikook lovers. Imagine a single moment, just a few seconds, that suddenly turns everything into a mystery. A telescope is raised, a gaze locks in, and Jungkook's name instantly becomes the center of attention. Coincidence, or something more? Why does the simple scene feel so warm yet unsettling at the same time? What was really seen from afar, and why did fans immediately start questioning everything? One telescope, many speculations. Jungkook becomes the talk of the town. Is it actually true, or just an illusion meant to spark curiosity? Stay with us, because before the truth reveals itself, there are subtle clues that make this unexpected moment even more intriguing. The moment didn't arrive with a warning. There was no announcement, no dramatic sound, no spotlight suddenly turning on. It happened quietly, almost too quietly, yet somehow, everyone felt it at the same time. A subtle shift in attention, a pause that lingered just a second longer than usual. And then the whispers began. At first, it was only a few fans who noticed something felt different. A glance held a little too long. A direction of focus that didn't seem random. In a space filled with movement, lights and noise, one simple action stood out. A telescope raised, a view narrowed, a subject chosen. And that subject, unmistakably, was Jungkook. Why Jungkook? Why at that exact moment? And why did such a small gesture ignite such a massive wave of speculation? No one could immediately explain it. And that uncertainty is exactly what made the situation feel so intense. In fandom culture, moments like these are rarely dismissed as nothing, especially when history has taught fans that the smallest details often carry the biggest meanings. Some fans describe the atmosphere as warm, not in a loud or obvious way, but in a subtle, almost intimate sense, like witnessing something you weren't supposed to see, yet couldn't look away from. Others felt unsettled, sensing that this wasn't just casual observation, but a deliberate focus. Was it curiosity? Was it concern? Or was it something far more personal? As clips and screenshots began circulating, timelines quickly filled with questions rather than answers. People replayed the same few seconds over and over again, slowing them down, zooming in, comparing angles. Every micromovement was analyzed. Every pause was dissected. One thing became clear very quickly. This was not going to be forgotten easily. What made the situation even more intriguing was Jungkook himself. His presence has always carried a unique gravity, effortless, natural, almost disarming. He doesn't need to do much to draw attention. Sometimes, simply existing is enough. And yet, in this moment, he appeared unaware, or perhaps intentionally calm. That calmness raised even more questions. Did he notice? Did he feel eyes on him from afar? Or was this one of those moments where awareness comes later, when the noise has already grown too loud to ignore? Fans were divided. Some believed Jungkook had sensed it all along, choosing silence as his response. Others argued that the beauty of the moment lay in its innocence, that not everything needs to be loaded with meaning. But then came the details that refused to stay quiet. The timing, the direction, the consistency of the focus. It wasn't just a single glance. According to those who paid close attention, the telescope returned more than once. Each time, the distance between observer and observed seemed to shrink, even though physically, nothing had changed. Distance, after all, isn't always measured in meters. For Jikook lovers, this detail struck a particularly deep chord. History, shared stages, shared memories, shared silences, everything suddenly resurfaced in collective memory. Fans began connecting invisible dots, revisiting old moments that once felt small but now seemed relevant. Was this another chapter in a story that never truly ended? Or were fans projecting emotions onto a blank canvas? What's fascinating is how quickly the narrative evolved, not because of official statements or confirmed facts, but because of emotion. Emotion fuels fandom, and this moment delivered it in abundance. Confusion mixed with hope, curiosity blended with nostalgia, excitement clashed with caution, and still, no clear explanation emerged. Instead, the silence grew heavier. Silence, in situations like this, is never empty. It invites interpretation. It creates space for imagination. And sometimes, it speaks louder than words ever could. Some fans began to ask uncomfortable questions. Why had this moment not been addressed? Why was there no clarification? Was it intentionally left ambiguous? Or was it simply too insignificant for those involved to comment on? Yet insignificance didn't match the reaction it triggered. Within hours, fan discussions spread across platforms. Threads multiplied, theories collided, emotional reactions poured in, some joyful, some anxious, some deeply personal. For many, this wasn't just about Jungkook being observed. It was about what that observation symbolized. Being seen, being noticed, being remembered. In the world of idols, where everything is curated and controlled, an unscripted moment feels powerful, almost rebellious, almost real. And reality, when it appears unexpectedly, tends to shake people. What if this telescope wasn't about surveillance, but about longing? What if it wasn't curiosity, but reassurance? What if it was simply someone checking from afar, making sure everything was okay? These questions lingered, unanswered, floating between fact and feeling. And Jungkook, he continued on, doing what he always does, performing, smiling, existing in his own orbit. But fans couldn't help noticing subtle shifts. A glance to the side, a pause, a softness in expression that felt different. Were these changes connected? Or were fans seeing what they wanted to see? As time passed, one thing became increasingly clear. This moment did not exist in isolation. It lived because of reactions. It grew because of emotion. And it expanded because fans felt personally connected to every small detail that surfaced. The conversation among fans slowly shifted. It was no longer just what happened, but why does this feel different? There was a noticeable change in tone, less loud speculation, more careful reflection. Almost as if everyone sensed that this was not just another fleeting viral clip, but something more delicate. Some fans chose to take a step back, reminding others that not every gaze carries hidden meaning. In the entertainment world, coincidence often looks like intention when viewed through an emotional lens. And yet, even among the most cautious voices, there was an honest admission. Still, it feels strange to ignore. That was the power of this moment. It didn't demand belief. It didn't insist on interpretation. It simply existed, quiet, subtle, yet strong enough to make people pause. Once again, Jungkook became the center of attention, not because of words, not because of controversy, but because of silence. In an industry built on noise, silence often speaks the loudest. And when someone as visible as Jungkook chooses to move forward without explanation, that choice itself becomes part of the story. Did he realize how deeply fans would analyze those few seconds? Or was it, for him, just another ordinary day among countless others? No one can say for sure, but fans know this much. Jungkook is no stranger to being watched. He has lived under the spotlight for years. If he remained calm, unbothered, and wordless, then perhaps that calmness was intentional, or perhaps it was simply genuine. Meanwhile, the telescope, the simplest object in this entire story, turned into a symbol of distance, a symbol of observation, a symbol of connection that remains unspoken. In fan discussions, the telescope was no longer just an object. It became a metaphor, repeatedly referenced not as proof, but as a spark. For Jikook lovers, symbols like these are familiar territory. They are used to reading between the lines, interpreting body language, and finding meaning in silence. But this time, there was an added layer of restraint, a collective awareness that hope, if held too tightly, can hurt. On one side, there was warmth, the comforting feeling that something sincere might still exist, even if unseen. On the other, there was fear, the fear that everything might simply be a projection of longing. And between those two emotions, the story continued to unfold. There were no official clarifications, no direct denials, no single narrative everyone could agree on. Only fragments, small moments stitched together by emotion and imagination. Interestingly, the lack of answers seemed to mature the discussion rather than inflame it. Many fans began emphasizing respect. Respect for privacy, respect for boundaries. Whatever meaning lay behind the moment, Jungkook remained a human being, not a character written solely for interpretation. And yet, curiosity lingered. Because humans are natural storytellers. And when the story involves someone deeply loved, even the smallest detail feels significant. Perhaps one day, this moment will seem insignificant. overshadowed by bigger events, clearer signals, louder truths. Or perhaps it will be remembered as a quiet turning point, a subtle scene that carried more weight than anyone realized at the time. For now, all that can be done is to wait, to observe without forcing conclusions, to feel without demanding certainty. Not every story needs to rush toward an ending, and maybe that is exactly what makes this moment so compelling.